actually have 2 maps in the Mediterranean this week, I've realized, between this and Rialto.
I'll be watching over you.
Stunning skies, great weather, great day for
Be free if we had Gibraltar in. We don't.
So it's going to be actually a Rissa Hog on the side of Nova MS, Widowmakers on both ends, Fires on both ends. See what Global Esports can do with this extra Sombra that Nova MS don't have.
See Mui able to sit pretty on a Widowmaker as well. A favored pick of his that he doesn't always get much of a chance to play. Gonna have to come head to head against Kim Yute in that regard.
We'll see as well, Red Fox again, new member on this squad, how she pairs up with Shailin as her partner in the skies. Well, so far, not looking too good for Nova.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there. Goes in for a res on a Ting. A much needed one, but does trade her life for that. Now Faith able to get the res on Lil Rax, so Mui's one pick to try and keep Nova MS in this arms race gets kind of negated and nullified.
I'll tell you, in that 1v1, no one came out ahead technically in terms of kills, but Kim Yute did make Mui go away, which means he has the better sight lanes, at least for now. Global Esports hold point control. Lorax in maybe a little bit of trouble, but Nova MS is still down 1 member.
You look at the head-to-heads here. Lil Rax has got more value than Shailin. Kim Yute has got more value than Mui. The interesting one is the asymmetric one between Xenofly and Nuns. That EMP could still be big here for Global Esports.
See how Shailin and Lil Rax match up here in the skies as well, where actually Lil Rax is looking for final damage on one of the ground members instead. And Global Esports are happy to just draw this one out as long as possible. I mean, they got point control.
A little bit back and forth right now in this fight. Nobody dead just yet. EMP didn't get much done from Xenofly, unfortunately, but neither did the whole hog from Nuns. And now both teams really digging deep, and it's Mui finds the headshot on Lil Rax. That will probably be res, but with Xenofly slept, it's a critical opening for Nova MS to start pressing this advantage, and they immediately find Lil Rax after the res has already come out. So now just able to pick up these last few kills here. Late kill on Shailin is nice, but this will be Nova MS taking the fight and taking the point to boot.
And Mui's definitely turned on right now. Kim Yute has been a bit quiet so far this game. And once Mui got that first kill to Lil Rax, by the way, baited out from the cover by Shailin to try and take that dogfight while Mui's just waiting. Mui then gets a res kill. And now the point flips over at 58% for Global Esports. Nova can still have a decent chance to catch up here. A lot of ultimates about to come online.
Mui taking a little bit of harass from Xenofly. Kim Yute finds a pick, and it's a big one. Red Fox is going to have to commit a res, but now so is Faith onto Lil Rax. So Mui keeping pace here, and there are those reses.
Both came through, which means we're even out again. Xenofly's very low, Luke is more than low.
Yeah, not anymore, we're even. That's a really nice kill. Sleep on Lil Rax as well while he's got the nano boost on him, means Nova MS can clean up that kill and take an ultimate off the board to boot. And it's starting to feel like Mui has been unlocked a lot more than Kim Yute in these last 2 fights.
And that's only one of the several matchups that we have here. Let's talk about another one that we haven't mentioned, Innen versus Xeon Flux. Both pretty good, but unfortunately Innen is probably regarded as the best ANA in the region, maybe next to Mango Jai at this stage, so Nova should be looking at a pretty big advantage in that field. And look at the sleep dart that we saw earlier with the nano boost and Lil Rax. That is the power of this player.
We also got that extra kill potential out from Nuns with the hook. We've seen more and more value coming out of that. Now it's on Xenofly to get a lot of value out of this EMP. That's a curious trade here, a 1-for-1, and it does hamper Nova MS's ability to sit pretty on this point. Lil Rax takes advantage, gets aggressive, goes onto Mui on the back line. Nuns now, bit of a sitting duck up front. Lil Rax finds him out. Global Esports gonna get the point here.
And a exit kill for Shailin there as well.
Oh dear, that's a tight spot to res in, and probably not going to last very long.
And this is where for Global Esports starting to look a little bit better. They have the cap again, EMP available. Nova MS still hold on to a decent amount themselves. You can imagine, okay, the whole hog will be coming through again pretty soon, but Xenofly can shut that one down. Global Esports in position now as we have an equalization of the point cap, 78% on both sides, and now Global Esports are leading.
This has been a very close run thing. It's a brilliant EMP, 4 members, but they don't quite get the kills just yet. Xenofly is in fact the first casualty, but finally Global Esports able to trail in on top. It's a lot of kills coming through for them, but Nunn still decides to commit himself a whole hog. That's
the last fight.
Fox dead, and when they just have no choice but to go here. Nuns is really making himself last on this point. A team barely staying alive. Ducking in and out behind the shield. Pressure finally coming in onto Kim Yute. Alleviates the pressure on the tanks. And now Lil Rax goes down. It's still back and forth. But as the respawns come in for Nova MS,
we can do this.
Like Global might still have this on lockdown. Mui's got a lot to do here. Shailin's going to help him out a little bit. I have no idea, man.
This is going pretty close, but there should be now a counter cap for Nova MS. None stayed alive for just long enough, despite then losing Red Fox and losing Innen and the rest. Nuns got those early kills. Let Mui come back in with the respawn. Mui then equalizes the kills that Kim Gyu-tae gets as well. And for Global Esports, couldn't quite find their own reinforcements to take this one back. It will be a back-to-back double 99%, but this time Nova MS are defending and they have control of the point.
This has been absolutely absurd. What an incredible fight. You just see the playmaking potential, and you're already seeing it again here as Kim Gyu-tae finds out Nuns. Red Fox is hacked, cannot go for the res before Nuns will respawn naturally. That is a man advantage for Global Esports, but not anymore. The sleep from Xeno onto Xenofly rather allows Shaolin to find a kill. Mui staying alive here as well. Oh wow! Lil Rax finds 4. Kim Gyu-tae unfortunately takes a dive on the other side of that, but that is more than enough for Global Esports to sail it through and ride this one home. They are going to pick up well, the 99-99 going their way, but what a close fought thing, and that's only one round.
And Global Esports coming through, Lil Rax with the big wax to clean up the whole side of Nova MS. Wow, 1-0 to start things out with, and that was explosive. I mean, 99 back-to-back. Both teams had it so close to each other. Unexpected 4K, and then a 5th kill in the air for Lil Rax to completely shove Nova MS out of the map. And not really what you'd expect. You feel like Nova MS started to get control there. They had momentum going their way.
Yeah.
Looked pretty decent. Nuns went down early. Okay, Red Fox was hacked. Its setup was starting to come through. Didn't feel like dire times until all the kills landed.
And this is exactly what we want to see out of this matchup, right? The playmaking potential that comes out of both of these teams is on full display here, and it feels like a fight just comes down to who is ever so slightly more explosive than their counterpart.
This is going to be an interesting matchup because Lil Rax this time on a Baptiste instead. Global Esports running pretty much just the 3-3 goats here and just not playing the Brigida. They're playing the Baptiste in that same position. Mui and the rest of Nova MS sticking to the DPSs that they know.
And I kind of like what the Baptiste offers them here. It's another tool against a lot of the pick potential. Not if Mui picks Lil Rax early, though. And you also talk about Immortality Field into EMP, but as it is, Nova MS, they've got the firing lines onto the point, even though Global Esports have the positioning, and eventually the pressure is going to, I believe, become insurmountable for Global Esports.
To me, Lil Rax on Baptiste is not a good pick into a Widowmaker. Your Immortality Field is not going to last because the Widowmaker can just ping it from range. You're also exposed the entire time, unlike a Brigida, which can at least hold the shield up. So Global Esports probably be looking at some sort of change here. They're going to be playing Fire Widow themselves with their own Sombra. They're going to be playing Luke on the Orisa, and well, the team's still on the Wrecking Ball here, so Nova MS got that going for them, where Global Esports want to play this quite defensively.
This time we're going to see a mirror matchup that we didn't see last time, and that is Nuns to Xenofly. We get to see that head-to-head. Of course, Nuns was on the Roadhog on well. Already almost at an EMP.
Well, we got a pretty big lead for Nova MS in terms of all the ultimates. I mean, even Infrasight being used early, just to reveal positioning. Global Esports going to find it difficult to push in, at least for the time being.
Trying to find the pressure onto Lil Rax. Not successful just yet, but Shailin has found Xenofly on the back line. Nice hack onto Luke as well. And this is Lil Rax going in super deep. Mui staying alive that entire time as well. And Shailin's able to fall back and find the dogfight. That's Global Esports going all in on a play that probably wouldn't have even yielded them much in the first place.
That's a huge win. Unfortunately, Nova MS just finds so many good picks. Unfortunately for Global Esports, that is, who are probably going to lose everyone at this stage. And this is before they can really pressure the cap out. And yeah, they took a bit of a risk there. They wanted to get Mui down because that was such a big play on the other side. It would also unlock Lil Rax in the air. Unfortunately, because he doesn't quite get the kill into Mui, who then lands a bit of a headshot, gets cleaned up by Shailin, hack then onto Faith, who can't escape. That's another kill. Global Esports don't get much out of that play at all.
It's going to be so hard for them to contest Mui. That's a big pick onto Red Fox now. As I say, it's going to be hard for them to contest Mui. They pull the safety net out from under him. And now it's Kim Gyu-tae and Lil Rax who have allowed the space to pop off. That's with Nova MS having banked up so many ultimates, but the pick potential out from Kim Gyu-tae, it's more than enough to overcome that.
Now, this is going to be a really tough fight to lose for Nova MS because they actually had a lot of ultimates here. You can imagine if they used the EMP, they used the barrage, they used basically anything that they have. Global Esports would have been, at minimum, been forced to respond to their own ultimates, probably delay the cap for a while. You get that 99% as well, but now the good news is you do push in with this, but Global Esports have response. A counter EMP could be big.
It's a bit of a rough EMP. They commit it onto the airborne duo. The counter EMP goes onto the ground, and it's the one that commits to the ground that finds the better value. They've found Nuns. They've finished off in as well. It wasn't hacked, but certainly was opened up by a Ting being hacked. Nova MS not going to find any success on that push.
And the kill you really wanted to see if you're Nova MS is the one onto Faith, who not only got hit by the EMP, but also Sleep Dart. If you land on Faith and you get that kill down, that's a big 6v5 you can work with, even if you get counter EMP.
And unfortunately, it's exactly a Ting and Nuns who are the likely candidates to follow that up if Mui doesn't have a sight line, and that's exactly who got hacked out on the side of Nova MS. So Global Esports mitigating it fairly well, and we'll see if they can continue that success.
All this time wasted means, and by the way, Lil Rex goes down. Global Esports can push this up to their own 85%. However, that's starting to look a little bit rough for them.
Oh man, you're hoping to see the res out of Faith, and instead he goes full Battle Mercy, finds a Ting out. Luke slept for the time being, but sitting pretty for the now. They're not really under any pressure. And now Luke's awake, he immediately starts buffeting Nova MS back.
Well, you thought it would go rough for them, but actually they got 2 counter trades so quickly. So Nova MS back out, they reset, wait a little bit more. Now you will see that 85%. So both teams on 2 rounds in a row going head to head here. I mean, it's been super even, but Global Esports, again, they had a deficit because they had to change comps for the second push. Nova MS were ahead, and now they need to be ahead again because that's a big kill. 2 in a row.
Those are 2 big kills. Lil Rax and Faith both the headshots. There's no more pressure out from the Farah. There's no more reses for anyone else who dies. And Global Esports see the writing on the wall. They get the heck out of Dodge.
Timing's great here. Okay, get Shylin down. This is going to give you a minus 6v5. Red Fox will probably be looking for the res. Gets that one, and now we're about to hit the 99.
Luke's still sitting pretty on the back line, keeping pressure on Samui. That's a really weird place for the minefields to go down, but Shylin finds one. Lil Rax goes down. Nova MS, despite the EMP that came out,
everyone lives.
It's doing all right for now, you gotta say. Now they can just lean into the ultimates they have at their disposal. They're already in control of the point. Starting to clean up these kills. Shylin goes aggressive. Finds so... what a guy. I mean, even up Ilios, man, could this be any closer?
I love me a midi and get one on the Widowmaker there as well. Nova MS get the cleanup and such big kills towards the end. A lot of questions to be asked about what happened in the middle there, because as a reminder, Nova MS, they came out on the Farah Widow composition. Global Esports came out on the Batiste Ryan Goats. Big mistake from them. You don't want to see the Batiste into a Widowmaker get super hard punished. Global Esports have to make a rapid swap onto their own Widow Farah all DPS composition. Takes a while for them to ramp up, and it's starting to feel like maybe they can take this round. Get it 2-0 on Ilios. Start this match with a 1-map lead. But we're going to go to round 3 now. The tiebreaker. Nova are going to stay on the same type of composition. It's been working. Don't change.
I hope you're sitting comfortably and you've got plenty of snacks, because I feel like we're going to be settling in for a long series at this rate. If this is how long it takes for Ilios to get even down to its final map, let alone fully resolved, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see another 99-99. You'd expect it'll be another close thing for the rest of it, and Luke's able to get the opening
Faith in trouble
to Nuns, but like you said, Faith in trouble, so is Xeon Flux, and if both those supports go down, then that opening pick will be all for now.
Faith is at least recovered at this rate. The Ting still has a bit of HP to get back in. Point does unlock, and Global Esports are there first.
Oh, nice hack on a Ting. Shylin finds Little Rax though. Nova MS now can start pushing in, but Global Esports did get the early cap, so this is a little bit of progress, but it will now go over to Nova MS. Or will it? They've all got off the point.
Global Esports capped that one earlier, and unfortunately, even with Global Esports kind of losing a bunch of members here, Nova are only just about capping now, so this is going to be a few extra percentage points.
I don't understand. They killed everyone that was on the point. They had 2 members stood on the point. They both moved off. They just gave Global Esports another 10%.
You'd hope that the extra kills was worth it, because what they're really looking for there is time either way, whether it's extra time on the point or extra time spent for Global Esports respawning. Gutane now looking for shots.
They do now take the lead in terms of percentage. Oh, that's got to be it. That's a gimmick. There it is. And they can't go for the res either. Red Fox
like, what do I do?
A bit too close to the fire there, gets burned, and Global Esports getting the regrab, now starting to strip ahead in percentage themselves.
Xeon Flux with a huge play, sets that one up. That's a 2 kills, 2 huge kills. Every time the pharmacy combo goes down and there's no retaliation, there's no counter trades of any sort, I mean, that's probably the fight won straight away. Global Esports now, they lost the point just briefly and straight away back onto 35.
Now, oh, Nuns immediately finds his counterpart though, and I mean, the frags never stop here. So explosive. Luke knows he has to start backing out towards his team.
And by the way, EMPs, you're not looking for huge ones. You may be looking for 2 members, 3 at best.
Little Rex goes down with the help of Nuns and Shailin, and now Nuns, again, we talk about those EMPs being a possibility. Might want to commit one onto Faith, and there it is, dead on.
I think a solo might be worth it. If you can actually get the kill onto Faith here, that'd be nice. But
I mean, you say that, they aren't going to get the kill on Faith. They at least get kills on other people, so it's still going to pay off, but at that point, maybe you wish you hadn't used the EMP, but all's well that ends well here for Nova MS. Well ahead on the point. The res on Luke buys them more time, but it's only a little more time as Nova MS will get the point back under their control.
And if you're Nova MS, you're thanking your lucky stars that you did get the kills on the other members, and eventually, a team gets the kill onto Faith, but that was your solo EMP, and in this case, getting a double EMP or one on a very crucial member can still win you a fight because it's about player advantage. It's about small increments in how many numbers you have versus your opponents that's going to get you ahead. Nova now looking for that again, but Global Esports have some more ultimates this time than last.
Speaking of numbers ahead, Nuns also saving grace here, has still managed to get back ahead of Xenofly in that EMP despite having just committed him, but Shailin goes down with a nano boost on him. Nuns eats a huge amount of pressure. Headshot back onto Lil Rax is a nice trade, and now the reses should start to come in, but Red Fox has a hard time getting for Shailin. He was too far forward, and now just has to come back to his team the old-fashioned way. Meanwhile, Little Rax uncontested, gets aggressive, finds Mui. Here comes Red Fox trying to go for the res, gets cancelled out, barely stays alive as the cap goes back to Global Esports.
80% is quite a decent lead here. EMP still available for Xenofly, and that's one of those crucial moments where, okay, both firers go down, but now we're going to be playing the res game. Oh, Nuns gets the hack into Little Rax, sink or swim.
Finishing that one off is massive as well. Not able to stay alive. Faith going down means that double duo is out of the picture. No reses here. Nova MS barely at a numbers advantage now. Just trying to squeak their way in. Mui keep getting the kills, keeps keeping the pressure on the point, gets himself a third one. And again, it will be a recap for Nova MS. When will it end?
And I think this starts with, okay, you get Lil Rex down first. That's your first player advantage, unreasonable because it's an environmental. Afterwards, Mui gets their 3 kills on the Global Esports, where you're maybe thinking if there is a world to get counter-trained, say Global Esports can still win. That world did not exist. Now you have a world where they can still win, but it's 1 for 1.
Aggressive minefield from Ating. He ends up getting slept. Now he's EMP'd, and Global Esports are getting the kills. They were able to res Z on Flux, the only casualty so far. So, I was about to say Mui's got a lot of work to do, but he's dead. Can't go to work if you are done so. 99 to 99. Again, we find ourselves here this close, this tight, but it's with Global Esports at a man advantage on the point. Still finding the kills through as well. A team forced to back out. Kim Yute back on the kill feeds. And that should be it here for Global Esports. Going to finally pick up Ilios, but if that's anything to go by, this is going to be a long and close series.
And you have to look at the abilities landed there as well. Credit to Xeon Flux, he got a Sleep Dart and a Bionade on 2 crucial members on the side of Nova MS right at the beginning. And then you had the 1-for-1 trade where, unfortunately, Red Fox goes down, so that's just where it all starts to fall over for Nova MS. Mui is soon to follow. Lil Rex finds that kill, and once that happens, well, that was one of your key members that were getting you kills previously. You now have a fire that's uncontested by a Widowmaker on the other end, a Widowmaker on your team that's uncontested by the same Widowmaker that went down for Nova, and you have this big lead on the side of Global Esports where you were already at 99%, 1 cap into the overtime, into the victory, a close 2-1, but in many ways a well-deserved victory to take that first one out.
This series is such a treat, right? And I mean, Ilios is just such a great example of what I'm talking about here. We've got so many incredible players, high caliber players with a lot of individual playmaking potential, and it feels like we're seeing all of them making plays constantly. And I'm not just talking about the DPSs, it's also tanks setting up kills, it's Arna's landing sleep darts. I mean, even credit to, you know, I don't know, it's hard to say, oh, Mercy making a particularly impressive play, but on this, it's a solid level of play. It's high caliber play. And when you got 2 teams just firing on all cylinders like that, it's no wonder it's coming down to such close margins in every single fight.
And they're taking turns having pop-off moments as well. I even want to draw attention to Ilios Well, where you had sort of the overtime plays where none stays alive forever. gets or buys enough time for Mui to rejoin the team and rejoin the fight, who then collects himself so many kills, and then the complete opposite happens where Lil Rags gets this 4K barrage into a mid-air kill straight afterwards, and it's just this entire back and forth thing where it never feels like it's truly over until everyone's waiting in spawn, or there's no ultimates, or, you know, people are not on the point anymore and the game is actually over. It's never actually done until it's done.
It feels like between these two teams, we've got like 6 whole incredibly high-powered potential DPS players, all of whom are of the type where if you give them some room to breathe, they can blow your house down.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately a lot of houses got blown down there. Or maybe fortunately, if, you know, in the case of exciting matches to be. But
if you're in the construction industry, it's good news because, I mean, it's going to keep you employed for a while. Got to rebuild those houses.
Unless it's your house that got blown down, which
I feel like if you're a builder and your house gets destroyed, it's
that's
like,
still a lot of work.
It is, but you're also the ideal person for that to happen to, compared to like a doctor. It's like a doctor can't build a house. You know, a heart transplant, but that's not going to give you a roof over your head. I mean, it will because you learn a lot of money from it, but you know what I mean.
I guess.
After you've paid off your student loans.
Let's move on to Paris here, which is going to be map number 2 in the series.
Speaking of expensive housing.
And not even just in the future. Where, look,
we are
right now,
in the future.
Moving into this kind of map, you kind of feel like both teams have strong capability to run a lot of different things here when you get 2 very flexible teams. And by the way, this is now Global Esports in the 2nd season of the year where they have now a lot more flexibility than we used to. Like, if we talked about Global Esports last season, this would be the 3-3 team. This would be, you know, the Far East Society of how they look currently this season, which is not bad per se, but they're very, in some ways, probably not fair to say one-dimensional, but a lot more predictable. Whereas in this particular matchup, both teams very comfortable to play Widows, Pharahs. You would imagine Hanzos, Orissas, and the whole lot as well, moving into Paris where bunkers are kind of expected here. So that's going to make things a lot more interesting in terms of more mirror matchups to be played, more skill matchups to be played, Arnas to be played there as well. So got some really good flex support players, got some Sombra players in the mix as well. So looking at how Ilios went, probably going to be equally as chaotic. Anything can happen on Paris.
Certainly expect so, and you know, now that we move into the more asymmetric setups, I think we'll see less of this sort of like passing of the playmaking baton between the two teams, right? It's not going to be like hot potato of playmakers. It's going to be a little bit more one way and then back the other when the sides are flipped over, right? Like it's the nature of the more asymmetric matchups, but I think Assault will end up being a really nice litmus test for which of these teams is likely to maybe edge it out over the other on a more consistent basis, because Ilios, even though Global Esports won it, still feels like it could have been either team's map. If one of these two teams proves themselves to be that much better at something like Assault, then you would favor that team going into the next 3, and that's what'll win you the series, not just getting Ilios.
And I got to say as well, in terms of hot potato, it kind of feels like the opposite because you're trying to hold on to the potato as long as possible. You definitely don't.
No, but that's the point of hot potatoes. You hold on to it for as long as possible without, because actually for those who are unaware of the metaphor in hot potato, it's not a potato, it's a live grenade. That's why you're passing it. So you want to hold on to it for as long as possible and then throw it to someone else so that it blows up in their face.
It almost kind of feels like maybe you're playing rugby instead where both teams are just trying to steal the ball off each other. And in this case, hey, whatever, man.
A lot of pigeons. What's up with that?
Everywhere. Look, if you travel anywhere in the world, one thing that stays consistent is pigeons.
And air. I mean, that's...
Talking about animals here. And trust me, I know that there's a lot of different birds in different countries, especially you go to land somewhere, you hear a noise you haven't heard before, that's how you know you're in somewhere else. Pigeons stay consistent.
Could be a dying kid, could be a bird, who's to say?
It'll be Esports now, Lil Rax loop. It's going to be no Orisa actually, so it's just going to be a hog on its own. No setup for the hogs, unfortunately. Nova MS, they have the Orisa, but they don't have the hog, so I guess each side has one piece of the others, and Global Esports are like, you know what, let's not do that.
I mean, you can already tell that this is going to be wild one way or another, right? Nuns opting to not go onto the DPSs, and actually, I mean, the Brigade is a bit of a sitting duck in one respect, but that's the thing, if they can open up the ground game for Nuns, then that's where the value can be found, the extra crowd control, the extra setup for kill potential, but with the counter trade on Mui, the early part of Grenade, the early kills, it's all getting slowed down here for Nova NS, who, in spite of good picks, are struggling to make headway.
And this is where, okay, Red Fox does get the resurrection. Luke tried to disrupt that one. Every single pick that Global Esports has gotten has, unfortunately for them, been kind of counteracted here. They've lost someone in a trade and they just haven't gotten much in terms of distance. So 1 minute off the clock and we haven't really moved forward.
And they're actually not bothering to match Kim Yute head-to-head anymore. Mui's decided to come back in on the Tracer. They're favoring a little bit more pressure on the ground once again. And
I think it's more space and timing because you couldn't wait to respawn and take a while to get back to the point. He just wants to get there as fast as possible. What this means is Kim Yute doesn't have to worry about a counter sniper to deal with. He just has to focus his attention on the fire on the other side.
just got to get through a lot though. Still struggling to make the sightlines work out. And Little Rex goes down. That's a nice nano boost to try the shots to do more. The Rocket Barrage binds 3 uncontested. And that is huge value on the defense now for Nova MS.
Big plays there, gets a solo kill onto Little Rex, and then runs around the corner, knows that he's safe, has the backup to do so, still has a nano boost by the way, so damage reduction, doing a lot of work there. A minute ago we said 1 minute was gone, now it's down to 2 minutes remaining for Global Esports on the offense. EMP is available, but that's really the only thing you can write home about because everything else doesn't look too good.
Even then, you've got the likes of Nuns to help out with that spy checking. If Xenofly finds himself caught by either him or in, it's a sleep, it's a stun, it's a death, but is able to connect it, and huge value as well. Not just getting the airborne duo, but getting 2 members on the ground as well. And that's the go button for Global Esports. Already 2 kills ahead in the fight.
And Red Fox has a big job to do here. She has to try and raise somebody to keep numbers up, but they're just losing so many too quickly.
And they committed ultimates as well. They put a supercharger down to try and maybe find some kills. They threw out a pulse bomb to see if that could find a catch. Little Rex does commit a rocket barrage that doesn't do much. Nova MS have respawned, but they're not back in the fight just yet. And in that window where those respawners are trying to regroup, Global Esports continue to press the advantage and will close out the last few kills to secure the point A.
Now that's such a difficult position for a Mercy to be in. You see all these fires that you have to put out, so many members getting low, going down. You pop the Valkyrie, can't find a single res. Nova then, unfortunately, going to be able to lose A. They did knock off a lot of time. There was about 3 minutes gone on the attack. Mui back on the Widowmaker now as Global Esports look to push through. It won't be very quick. There's no EMP. They still got the Larissa, which means they need to find a setup.
What they also have is time, Global Esports. They did lose a lot on A, but you still come in with a hearty 4 or so minutes. And with the nature of these team comps as well, sometimes you don't need the big ultimate snowball, sometimes you just need picks, but you can say the same with the defense, and that's exactly what has happened thus far. Little Rex now getting pressured, will end up going down. They're looking for Faith. May just find Xenofly instead, but at any rate, it should be Global Esports retreating.
And this push is already over here. Like I said, they weren't going to push in very quickly at all. They needed to find the setup in mid-rotation. Kim Yute goes down. I would actually argue they have very little time because if you lose 3 minutes on A, that's 3 out of a possible 4 minutes already gone. You're always going to get the 4 minutes, so you've only got 1 extra minute to work with. That is now completely gone. Every single second now is all the total time you have for B. And a lot of teams can't cap even with this time, especially if Mui's hitting shots.
That's 2 for 2 now. Mui finding opening frags in the fights. At least this one, Faith can commit a red.
That was a good shot.
That's the thing. While this is all going on, Nova MS can keep pressuring out the other members of Global Esports who are still trying to set up. Mui finds it again. The Hulk doesn't quite get the headshot, but they still kill off Kim Yute. And again, Global Esports find themselves taking a retreat. And now this is about 2 minutes or so, a bit over a minute rather, lost, having not even got good frags coming into B.
And this is the value of having a Widowmaker that can hit these nasty licks because you have Nova MS every single time one member goes down on the other end. That's kind of a soft reset for Global Esports where they got to think, okay, can we actually stay here? Can we even get a res? Maybe we do get a res or another member goes down. That's still 5v6, still not comfortable pushing where we need a decent advantage to actually be able to finish the map. And swapping compositions fully now is going to make sure that Mui isn't going to be able to find the same amount of value, which means he himself is going to change the Zarya.
Well, Global. What do you do now? Well, I mean, we know what they're going to do, but still got a lot to contend with. That's a nice CMP, though, once again. Really hamper Shailin's surprise plans. They'd already committed the nano boost. Now Shailin is sitting duck, at least stays alive, can now go for the rocket barrage, and they find a bump onto Luke to put him in the line of fire. Nicely handled there by Nova MS. Nearly had their plan stopped short by Global Esports, but are able to keep the critical members alive.
Atang doing his work before now changing onto Ryan. You can start to feel that Nova MS are slowly changing compositions to their own 3-3 as You have Red Fox going back to spawn, Lucio expected here, Shailin about to be going back to spawn, you can imagine. Brigida probably expected here as well. A decent time to be trying to match because Global Esports, they're getting a couple of ultimates maybe soon, but realistically it's just a nano boost and Nova MS are not that far behind despite just swapping.
Xeon Flux has the nano boost at least, as we talked about, and I mean, it's something, right? It's better than what Nova MS have.
It's doing work.
Yep, they managed to make just enough work from that one ultimate alone, so that's exactly what you want when all you come into a fight with is a nano boost, and with that, Luca's also been able to charge up a Shatter, so now respawners are going to have that to contend with, and they don't have a Ting shield up for a while. They commit the Shatter very quickly. They want to maintain tempo in this fight so that they can keep cleaning up the kills, so that they can get this cap with as much time on the board as possible.
And there's really two schools of thought to be had here, because without wanting to be, I guess, results biased and analysis, you got to say, look, straight away they swapped, when, to be honest, the attackers were running a Rhine Goats. If you stayed on the pharmacy, not the worst in the world, that's a lot of free damage, and at least on this B point, you have a very high skybox that you can abuse as well. So, in a way, you can understand why you would change on the 3-3 Goats to match into this mirror composition, because, okay, this shouldn't be an easy comp to break through. You have a lot of time that can be wasted, so even if the side of Global Esports, in this case, using their nano charging through, they start to get ahead in the fight, it's going to take them a while to actually beat your team. They actually won very quickly. Luke got so many kills so quick. Nova did not feel like they were really prepared. And then you got to think, okay, what if they just stayed on the pharmacy? I think they would have probably have done better here. And hindsight's 2020 in this case, but they made a decision, and this time around didn't work out for them.
Love the supportal combat that we were seeing at the end there. When are we going to get to see Red Fox pop Valkyrie, receive nano boost, and finally unlock her true potential?
For the sake
is that the secret weapon for Nova MS?
Sports, you'd hope that her side, no one in any Overwatch esport ever receives that at any level of play.
I still want.
Actually, you're not even non-professional, just at literally any level of play. Club Esports though. Let's talk about their defense really briefly. Lorax back on the Batiste. Innen's already sniping. We have seen quad DPS from Nova MS before, so you do have to wonder. It's not quite bunker. They don't have a Bastion, they don't have an Orisa, but they are going to play the Batiste anyway, which can get heavily punished if Innen finds a shot at him. Well, he's pretty skilled, so likelihood of him finding a shot is fairly high.
They ran this on Ruins. Didn't really work out for them. It's essentially Goats with a Batiste.
It's better for the long range, I'll be honest. Okay, you can harass from longer range, you have the amplification matrix, which is pretty nice, but really contesting at this range against all these DPS is going to be pretty tough.
And that's the thing, Nova MS can just pressure from all sides, but Kimbute does find a breakout kill on Mui. That's going to get a lot of room for the rest of Global Esports.
It ends on 1 HP, 3x.
Xenofly's mech. They're finally able to go forward and find Innen. Fate's like, I'll do it myself then. It's going to be
enough picks, by the way. This is going to be Global Esports forcing a full reset now. Nova MS, 1 minute gone. And unfortunately, this is what happens. This is the two sides of running a quad DPS where you are quite brittle as well, so you can lose a member quite quickly and you give over player advantage as quickly as you can gain it in some cases. And in this case, they didn't quite gain any player advantage. They didn't find a kill, which they probably should have. And Innen himself got pressured out so early that he just didn't have any impact.
I mean, it's the proverbial glass cannon. We often say quad DPS is explosive. It either explodes in your face or in their face.
No, that's triple DPS, sorry.
Quad DPS is what, more explosive, less explosive? Oh, whatever. It didn't work the first time, it may work the second time. Rocket Barrage, the Immortality Field is there, but they do get Xenofly's mech. That's something. They can't actually kill that Immortality Field without just getting into the thick of it, which is inherently risky.
At the same time, look at the health.
Yeah, it's not like Global Esports can fight their way out of that room, so Nova MS just say, yo, all right, we'll just sit here. Now they put a Dragon Strike in, and Global Esports have to rotate around just to get towards this point.
And that donates them a second tech because Global Esports can't go on the cap while the Dragon Strike's happening.
Well, a second tick and almost a third and a more favorable position for this fight. Now a Ting does go down. And it was a nice sound barrier to last out through the EMP. Now Shailin eating a lot of pressure. Kimbute has a lot of charge. He's been able to bank up from taking so much damage in that room. The second Immortality Field keeps them safe from Shaolin attempting to rain fire from above. He calls it justice, I call it something else. And that's going to be Global Esports holding on.
I'll be asking you what you call it later on, but Red Fox goes down super early. Then unfortunately Shaolin doesn't have the pocket healing to keep him alive. Skimgute melts him down from the ground to the skies, anti-air if you will. Global Esports now in a prime position to complete a hold because they have a lot of ultimates coming online. Shatter's coming soon, self-destruct coming soon. Nova MS have a lot less to work with.
Global Esports, they've got to lean into this. They also can't just let Nova MS frag out, which is still always a possibility. I don't know where that grab's landed. It's landed on top of the Ting and Shaolin. That's
pushes over.
Yep, that's already kind of done so, and that's more time lost now. Global Esports have done a fantastic defense.
And I'll be honest, this Widowmaker hasn't gotten as much value as you'd expect, and that's not because Inin doesn't hit shots, it's because up against a GOATS team, a 3-3 specific team here, even though there's a Batiste which you can kill, they're hidden inside this room that you just can't get shots into, and Global Esports just using this geometry so well that, I mean, they can always contest outside of a Dragon Strike, which doesn't exist right now.
And now that the GOATS is finally underway in terms of macro, I don't know that Nova MS are going to be able to set up the same position they did last time. Global Esports could just cycle through ultimates. They went out first with the self-destruct, but Nova MS finally going to find a bit of headway if they can get some kills here. They found Xenofly at least, but they do still need more. There's the Shatter out. They've still got to contend with Immortality Field. The Shatter wasn't the hottest, unfortunately, but again, it's hard to contest the Immortality Field off in that side room. Kim Yute goes down, though. Nice bump off the edge for Luke, and that will probably just barely do it right as the overtime was about to start as well. And this could be staggered deaths for Global as well.
Nova MS, okay, a couple changes coming through. Inin went over to Zenyatta. What do they actually keep here? Because they have 2 ultimates, maybe 3 soon with the Barrage. Global Esports are moving up to double support ultimates, which is pretty crucial for stopping any potential snowballs. And there will be none. Winter, unfortunately not coming today. Nova MS working slowly towards an EMP, and slowly might not be very good because they do still have to cap, and while Global Esports got a time bank.
I mean, it looks like summer, just judging by the lighting on the map, I suppose. Guess I don't really know, but at any rate now, Nova MS trying to barrel forward to this fight, happy to take what is a relatively even one. That is to say nothing of Faith and Xeon Flux having support ultimates though, so Nova MS do still have to build up a bit here.
We'll see if we can rotate through the main instead of the side door this time around. 65 and still counting for Nuns. Still not quite big enough. You have Graviton Surge available now. Global Esports aren't really forced to use much until this push makes it onto the point. Nuns finally has a lot of charge. See what he can do.
It feels like every time Nova MS try and rotate, Summon takes big chunks. Luckily not dying though, so now they're able to actually commit to a fight. But
solo grab
from Kim Yute. Inin does not have grab Transcendence. He does now. It's not in time to save a Ting, but they'd already found Luke earlier, so it's a trade, and Lilreich's now down as well. Xeon Flux ended up having to use his Transcendence to counter EMP. Now Faith, hopefully they can just land on this sound barrier, lean on it, but doesn't work out. They don't actually find the kills while the sound barrier is running now. The support's getting pressured out. Xeon Flux down. Xenofly will remech, but I don't know how long that's really going to last them for. Nova MS is still leaning into ultimates.
And they need to pressure Luke up because he's got the self-destruct. Well, sorry, the Shadow. The self-destruct actually gets a kill onto Inin, so that's player advantage.
And it's one less healer to top up a Ting who is starting to really feel the pressure. Now Shailin going down. And with that, Nova MS are going to have to walk away content with just the 1 Ting.
And I think Mui possibly could have kept holding on to the Graviton Surge. It just seemed probably a little bit too ambitious here. Yes, they got a couple more kills there, maybe pushed Global Esports a little bit harder, really pressured them out, gave themselves 1 tick. Probably buy that at the end of the day, but what you're really looking for is that critical mass to get that 1 push in to be able to complete the entire cap. And Global Esports, their grab sadly only got 1 member, and they lost Luke, their 1 main tank member, on their own grab. That's not what you want to see.
What they do have here though, Mui coming in close to another grab, Nuns coming in very close to an EMP, and Global Esports do not have anything near that. They have a Shatter, and that's that.
And this is the timing that you want to see if you're a Sombra player, because you want to be able to out-rotate in terms of ultimates against both the support members on the other side. Right now, this is Nova MS. They should be looking to complete the map here.
There it is.
Combo.
Oh, nice timing on the Shatter as the shield is down. Easy clean up. A Ting trades his life for it all, but you're more than happy to take that trade. Another grab comes out again, maybe not a necessary one, but you only need the 2 ticks. The respawners cannot get back out the gates in time. It's less time in the bank, though, for Nova MS than what there is for Global Esports, but we are going to time back. It is still a close fought series.
And it's a sad face.jpg for Xeon Flux there as well, dying at 99%.
I'd like you to send me that JPEG.
Probably could have, I mean, in some cases, if he stayed alive for just a second longer, that would have been him delaying the point. This is that all-important kill, by the way. This was Global Esports committing their own grab, and Luke dies first. And it was grab only on a ting, and they only got a ting after they lost their own main tank. That's not a trade you want to see happen. When you use the Graviton Surge first, that was the first part where it's like, okay, this is going poorly for Global Esports. They lose a tick out of this one. Criticize Mui a little bit for dropping the extra grab. Turns out he gets another grab so quickly it didn't matter at the end of the day, so he came back on 80%. Nuns came back on 100% for the EMP, and there was no support ultimates. That's the kind of critical mass, that's the exact kind of advantage you want to see an attacking team walk in with to be able to finish a map.
Bunker, bunker, bunker. That's what Global Esports decide they wanted the defense, and I think this is a smart call. Nova MS only have a minute. They're going to have to bust that bunker, and it's often quite hard to do that in a short amount of time.
Exactly, it's smart because over 1 minute, it's unlikely they're going to get past this one. It requires a lot of setup in terms of actually out-rotating the bunker or doing the right kind of damage, so Nova would be, I'd say, quite fortunate to get one tick here, unless Global Esports really makes some big mistakes or somebody finds an insane angle onto Lorax and Lorax just completely melts, but yeah. Can't really see that world happening in 1 minute.
Without getting too ahead of ourselves, though, Global Esports will only have a minute and a half of their own, so a draw could very much be on the cards here.
So we want to see as a ting wrapping around the side and knocking a few plays off the high ground. If you've ruined this bunker setup in terms of positioning, that's one way to deal with, I guess, the bunker in its entirety, but specifically you want the Bastion.
Enin's the first casualty, though, so already not off to the hottest start. They can commit a res, but now Red Fox is down and you can't res yourself.
Here comes a potential killer ting. Can't quite get that one. You have a pocketed Kim Gute, so Global Esports still hold on to all their members as they are trying to rotate themselves.
Now they go back onto the second point here. Wide firing arc, less than 10 seconds to touch this point, and that's to say nothing of the bunker standing point guard in front of it. Is anyone even there? They barely get on with a ting who's quite possibly going to sacrifice his life for it at this point. Has to try and juggle aggro on and off this point here. But Xenofly is going to get Z-Max. That's an opening.
Importantly, Global Esports did need to shift their defense again because they need an angle over the point itself. And you can see this, Lorax can't quite find out where he can land.
Hack on Kim Yute, he's in a bit of hurt as well. Going to go down. Lorax gets picked off. This is big for Nova MS. They barely find a leg up. They barely find a way into the fight onto the point, and it could not have come literally any later. 0.2 seconds were left on the clock when a ting first touched it, and they're going to end up winning this fight, and by the looks of things, capping the point entirely.
And this is going to be Global Esports trying to delay, but realistically at this point, they should just hop off, reset as quickly as possible, because pretty soon, look at this, that's a big one that you can't really wait too long for. Nova have a lot of ultimates. They can go pretty quickly here. Global Esports will have all members set up, all members alive pretty soon, but no real big ults to speak of. Valkyrie is not going to be the game-winning one.
The only major one they can maybe lean on is self-destruct. A well-timed, a well-placed one can force people off the point. But it's hard to find that kind of placement. Nova MS should be able to play around that being effective. And Kim Yute finds nobody picked. That's already something. Fate Pact as well is early in there. None goes down. This is absolutely nuts. Global Esports just out fragging. And again, we talk about passing the playmaking baton just as Nova MS get the fight of a lifetime. Global Esports find the same on the defense. You'll still be more than happy to take a full cap on A, though, considering the Global Esports only have a minute and a half themselves.
Well, I guess what happened is they held onto the grenade for too long. Couldn't quite hot potato it back to the other side in time. Nova MS, what an amazing push onto A that ended so anticlimactically onto B, where they just had so much going for them and they just lost everyone. That shouldn't be happening, and the Hanzo went down.
Yeah.
There was only a Valkyrie and a self-destruct, and that was enough to hold off against 4 big ultimates. That just really shouldn't be happening. Nova could have gone at least 1 tick there. If they got 1 tick there, they would have avoided a draw scenario should we be going to be. Now, are we going to get there with Global Esports offense? Yet to be seen, but if we do, the best result that Nova can get will then be a draw on B, and that would be heartbreaking for how miraculous this has been so far.
Well, you know what they say. Don't text and cook a grenade at the same time. Maybe Nova MS falling prey to a little bit of distracted bunker busting. Now on their own defense. Not really quite a bunker themselves. They want to opt more into the Pharaoh. They want to get the early pressure on Global Esports during the approach.
Well, that's the thing, because a Bastion bunker is very singular in where you put all your eggs in. There's just that one big basket called Bastion, and, well, that's all your damage, and that's most of your carry potential on that one player. And it's quite easy to exploit in many ways. You saw how slow it took the rotations to happen on the defense, how they were kind of caught out at various times. Lorax couldn't find a setup position. Nova, on this defense, a lot more flexible. They have a lot of options here. The big one they don't have is actually the sniper, so Kim Gutang can have a pretty decent time just sniping away.
I like the setup here from Global Esports. So you got Kim Gutang and Lil Rax. Kim
Gutang's going back to
Looks
spawn.
like he wants to swap, though. I liked it with the Wrecking Ball in as well, because Luke on the Wrecking Ball could pressure out a Ting and potentially in, but they want to opt into something slightly different.
So it's going to be bunker bust here, where you got Farah and you got Hanzo, so really good at just destroying that wall. In fact, maybe you might even get a kill onto a Ting if you're really fortunate. Global Esports right now, they have less than 1 minute remaining. You have to start looking at who can possibly get an ultimate.
By this point, Nova MS at least started making an approach. It's a good hack onto a Ting, but no real capacity to follow it up before he gets back airborne. Oh, as I say that, Kim Gutang is able to find the shots, and suddenly Nova MS are running for the hills. Red Fox looks for a res, and it's so risky. Trades their own life for it. Better have been worth it. It's going to be a lot for Shylin to accomplish, and unfortunately dies immediately. This should be more than enough now for Global Esports to get onto this point, finish up these last few kills. The question will be, can they get a snowball of their own, or do we just go to a draw when the dust settles?
This dominoes just falls so quickly for Nova, where they lose too many members. Shylin goes down. That's one you really can't afford. Unfortunately, the Rays are so dangerous. Red Fox is in a bad spot. What do you do here? Do you go for it? Do you don't go for it? Either way, feels like you're probably going to be one down. Now you're going to go to that B defense, and yeah, prophecy comes true. The best part is, so the best thing you can get out of this is going to be a draw. And after what was such a good time bank phase overall for Nova, if the best result is a draw here, still a lead for Global Esports.
Speaking of, Global Esports have an EMP, so it might not even be a draw. Rather, they will by the time the fight gets underway. It's going to be the critical ultimate. Xenofly needs to not get picked.
Remember what happened last time? Xenoflux put a nano onto Luke. He basically wrecking balled his own way through the team.
That's the other ultimate they'll be able to lean on to. But there's the EMP right onto the back line. Good connection. Fire a grenade onto a Ting means, oh man, they barely finish him off. Mui as well looking likely to go down, and the nano boost onto Luke, as you said. Ooh, nice sleep, but they've still found kills in the main chunk of the fight on the point itself. Nun's trying to pop off best as he can. He's been the one to receive the nano boost here, because who else is going to make the play with those two main tanks down and done and dusted, and Luke gets a stun. It's still neither here nor there, but the biotic grenade means Faith goes down, and Luke getting pressure.
Respawn advantage.
Looking like it. The respawn advantage will be enough to lean into. Xenofly down. Luke bump forward, finds himself isolated, finds himself picked off. The late grab from Kim Gutang will not be enough. And when all is said and done, Paris is a draw.
And Nova MS now lamenting what could have been. Look back at that B push in time bank. 4 ultimates to 2, unfortunately, not very impactful ultimates. That then becomes very impactful when you're Nova and you lose your entire attacking force to almost nothing. It's just so sad, because that could have been the one tick. If they got one tick off that B push, they would have taken Paris, and now still a 1-0. It's not a 1-1. In fact, technically, it's match point.
I mean, you'll say the same there in the end for Global Esports on the attack, but you're dead right. The curious thing is, look, it's a bit of a heartbreaker in a way for Global Esports that they didn't get the tick on the attack. It would have given them the map, but you're right, in terms of it going to match point, it's the same net effect. The only difference it will actually have realistically is in map differential. That's maybe the one place Global Esports might kick themselves later down the line, depending on how things fall, but for now, they're ahead.
I'll say the only difference for me is the why it feels like more of a bigger loss for Nova than to say Global Esports is the difference in terms of expectations to who was actually going to win what push, where you look at what Nova had, you look at what Global Esports had, surely Nova gets something here. You look at then the opposite, when it's the other time bank way around and Global Esports are pushing into Nova's defense. Not quite the same. You feel like maybe there's a little lead here. Yeah, Nano's nice.
Yeah,
and
an EMP.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe it works.
I mean, EMP is, okay, EMP is pretty decent, but there's also a
But
case.
it's not a guarantee.
But that's the thing, is you still got to do a lot of work to really get that, to make that happen, and then the defense kicks in and you go into overtime, and defense's spawn advantage still very real on an assault map. you don't quite feel like that was as winnable for Global Esports as it was the opposite way around. So that's why it feels like for Nova, I don't know, to their own mistake, sadly, they kind of robbed it from themselves.
And now, curiously, I said as we were going into Assault that, like, this is where if we see one team just consistently edging it out over the other, that's the team you then favor moving forward for the next other, what is now 2 maps beyond that, both Hybrid and Escort, purely because of how the asymmetry works out compared to Control this is. But then we go to a draw. Like, bets are still off, right? Global Esports, yes, they're ahead, but they're still only really ahead thanks to Ilios. We don't actually have a team that's looking like the better of the two over the course of these other game modes, and Ilios itself still feels like if it could have gone to a tie, then it would have. That's how close those two teams were.
And that's the real takeaway after 2 maps, is both teams feel kind of dead even here, which means in some way, despite Global Esports being in the lead, maybe you tip them ever so slightly, but the ratios are tight enough that by the time we get to map 4, could still be anyone's game. And I'm going to take a bit of a break now as we've reached the halfway mark of this particular match. But when we come back, the conclusion of this epic series, who takes it out, find out after this break.